8. Theories and beliefs. There are many potential causes that might account for the crop circle phenomenon, and much theorizing has taken place since interest grew from the 1980s onwards. The following possibilities are just a selection of the numerous ideas that have been put forward, but they give a useful overview of the best of the basic concepts which have been discussed over the years. Natural causes. Biological factors have been known to create very simple patterns in grass, such as fairy rings, but there is no known fungus that can create the intricate crop lay and sophisticated patterns seen in some of the amazing pictograms. Lightning strikes and rare whirlwinds are other possibilities which have been suggested, but both tend to leave random destruction. However, meteorologist Dr. Terence Maiden postulated the early theory that a plasma vortex, an electrically charged funnel of air, might be responsible for the circles, and some of the plant analysis of W.C. Levengood backed up elements of this theory, though his BLT research group felt that a far more complex and possibly continuous mechanism must be at work. A possibly conscious mechanism must be at work. The vortex idea in its plainest form could only really account for the much simpler patterns, but the finding of very similar techniques at work in both the simple and the complex designs left many questions unanswered. Some argue that there may indeed be a mechanism available in nature that can produce very basic circles by itself, perhaps accounting for the historical accounts, but that something has learned to harness and enhance the process to create new complexity. This might explain the progression in development seen since the 1980s. Nature in general is very good at producing geometric forms such as snowflakes, flowers, and galaxies. The aforementioned science of fractals, page 25, has demonstrated how chaos theory alone can account for surprising levels of mathematical intricacy, and there have been a significant number of fractal configurations in the fields. Another process that demonstrates the power of nature to design is the art of cymatics, the effects of vibration in physical media such as water, oil, and sand. Development in 1967 by Swiss scientist Hans Jenny, he was able to capture and photograph the exact geometric patterns caused by different sound frequencies. As the frequencies rise, so too does the complexity of cymatic shapes, many of which bear remarkable resemblances to certain crop patterns. Could at least some crop circles be cymatic imprints caused by a change in natural vibrations of the earth? Many psychic channelers and tribal elders have claimed that the earth is undergoing a change in its vibrationary rate at this point in time. Others link this with the 2012 prophecies, and most scientists agree that all matter, including us, is made of vibrating particles. The rising sophistication of the crop circles and people's strong response to them may indicate an interaction between ourselves and the evolving frequencies of the planet. Nature alone could surely not account for the clearly intelligent agriglyph design, astronomical diagrams, binary codes, etc. But it could be responsible for some shapes and may at least be one component of a much wider process that we do not yet understand. Earth energies. Another natural, if more esoteric force to consider is the theory that crop circles are formed by a planetary interaction with Earth energies. From ancient times, there has been a belief that an invisible energy network covers the Earth. Dragon energy, chi, and serpent lines, for instance. It has been suggested that quartz and or underground water may produce this power source, as combinations of these are known to create piezoelectric fields under certain conditions. Underground water, or at least the aquiferous strata it lies in, has long been associated with the placement of crop circles, page 5, and some think that Wilhelm Reich's 1930s orgone energy concept may also be involved. Could this connection be helping to produce formation? It is claimed that Earth energy can be detected through the pans, but the ancient art of dowsing is the most common method. The dowser either holds a pair of rods, usually made of bent wire, though twigs can also be used, or a pendulum. Walking slowly, he or she waits for the rods to start turning or for the pendulum to twirl in a certain direction, indicating that a field of energy has been crossed. Some say that a force acts upon the rods. Others insist that the energy affects the dowser, causing minute muscular twitches that can be felt and interpreted. However, dowsing results can vary from person to person, which has led to some criticism of the method's reliability. Certain types of Earth energy apparently run in straight courses. These lines sometimes become confused with the concept of layers, alignments in the landscape that can most easily be seen by looking at maps and drawing a line through tumuli, burial mounds, churches, and other features of antiquity in a join the dots fashion. However, some theorize that ancient peoples placed their sacred sites on trails of Earth energy, and hence layers may sometimes follow the same course as energy lines. Living in close proximity to the land and dependent on it for their very lives, maybe early civilizations could feel the power more easily than we can today. This may also explain why crop circles, if connected to this same power supply, cluster around so many ancient sacred sites. There is evidence that these lines act as a magnet for light phenomena and other anomalous sightings, including, interestingly, ghosts and religious apparitions. crop circles often seem to form close to the nodal points of these bands of energy. Two very powerful energy lines known as Michael and Mary are held to run directly through the Avebury area, the region of most crop circle activity. However, despite the apparent plausibility of particular natural cause and earth energy theories, many formations clearly appear to display intelligent impetus, which leaves the need to consider other explanations that may run in conjunction with this concept. Gaia and ancient symbolism. The notion that our Earth itself may be choosing to create the circles is another proposed idea. The Gaia concept holds that the Earth is a living, breathing organism, but New Age theory takes the notion a step further to credit our planet with active consciousness. Could crop circles be outward signs of where energy is being intelligently focused, or byproducts given off as the earth tries to heal itself? In this school of thought, they could be likened to sore spots or welts that can occur on a diseased organism, though their beauty suggests a more positive connotation. Some believe the circles are a premeditated attempt by Gaia to warn us that our destructive, polluting ways cannot be tolerated for much longer before something drastic has to be done, a message from the planet itself. It has also been suggested that the circles are ancient symbols which appear here and there throughout history at times of need, helping to stimulate our evolution, rather like the black monoliths in Stanley Kubrick's film 2001, A Space Odyssey. Some Native Americans and other tribal voices have seen the crop glyphs as a cry from the earth and a portent of coming great changes. A number of groups around the world, not least because of the 2012 prophecies, believe there is an imminent time of global transformation upon us, and that the reappearance of these ancient patterns is to help raise our vibrational frequency, even change our DNA, as certain formations that have displayed clear genetic symbolism might suggest. Human consciousness. The crop circles, or the forces behind them, have on many occasions shown themselves to be responsive to human thought. There have been cases of researchers hoping privately to see a certain type of pattern only to find it the next day. Others have had premonitions and dreams of designs that arrive in reality later. On a number of notable occasions, controlled experiments with the power of the mind have managed to produce particular formations in the fields seemingly projected from a group consciousness. Shapes have been chosen by small select groups and then meditated on, only to then appear as agriglyphs the same day. Right. Aerial phenomena have also been known to interact with observers as if some kind of psychic link is involved. As Carl Jung asserted, page 38, One possible solution to the mystery, therefore, may be that the crop designs are projections from the collective consciousness of humankind, somehow interacting with natural energy systems to produce shapes in the fields. This could partly explain the apparent randomness of the symbolism if it is simply a mishmash of dream state feedback from the collective mind, intelligent on one level yet uncoordinated. Experiments such as the ongoing Global Consciousness Experiment, begun at Princeton University in the USA, have now demonstrated an ability of focused group thought to affect data produced by computers, and this is being used to show that our minds do affect the energetic environment and who knows what else around us. So this theory may not be as unlikely as it at first sounds. What mechanism exists in nature to allow for patterns to be transferred into physicality is currently unknown, and how the likes of the astronomical predictions could be accounted for is less clear, but it is a hypothesis that should not be discounted. Like most circle theories, it raises more questions than answers, but human consciousness may be just one more link in the causal chain of whatever creates the crop glyphs. The military. Some conspiracy theorists have accused the military of creating crop circles by means of energy technology, citing the proximity of Army land at Salisbury Plain to the agriglyph sites of Wiltshire, and pointing to the many sightings of military helicopters seen hovering low over formations, although it is likely that some of these events can be put down simply to mischievous pilots in training. The less observant have suggested that the downdraft from helicopter blades alone could account for crop circles, but comparing the mess left by helicopters which have come too low over fields in the past with the intricate geometrical beauty of the glyphs leaves this theory as one of the least likely. Beyond helicopters, what is missing in the military explanation is the nature of the mysterious technology that might be involved and what the motive might be. If it is to test some new weapon or device, why demonstrate it in such public places when there are so many other secret locations that must be available? It has been suggested that the military might be actively researching people's reactions to unusual phenomena for some dubious purpose. Some hardcore truth seekers believe there is a plan to fake the threat of an alien invasion to help create a mandate for an Orwellian-style global government. But if so, why then invent so many hoaxers and debunkers to so successfully destroy interest in the subject, unless it is all part of a bizarre double bluff? The theory that the military make the crop formations then is no stronger in logic than many other ideas, though it cannot be entirely dismissed that some may have been created in this way to distract and confuse. When Colin Andrews and Pat Delgado's televised BBC Circle surveillance project in 1990 was duped and discredited by despite the appearance of a seemingly hoaxed formation, page 49, several pointed out the mysterious coincidence that this occurred on the one night of the project where the military helpers who had been present the rest of the week were absent. There is certainly evidence that the military is interested in the circle phenomenon, at least, and both the British Ministry of Defence and Ministry of Agriculture, which conducted soil tests in 1995, identifying an unexplained imbalance in the nitrate and nitrogen levels beneath crop circles, page 51, are known to have quietly maintained their own investigations over the years. Intelligent forces. A significant proportion of crop glyphs strongly suggest that they are trying to tell us something, however obliquely. Could they be, as a large number of researchers believe, a communication from higher beings, be they extraterrestrial or from other dimensions or even other times? The phenomenon has clearly evolved in complexity from year to year in recent decades. Could this be a method of subtle teaching, starting slowly and simply but gradually increasing the flow of symbolism, feeding us subliminal encoded information to trigger certain parts of our brains? There have been many cases of strange lights in the sky associated with crop circles, and these have often been interpreted as extraterrestrial craft, although many sightings seem too amorphous to be conventional solid objects, and some lights seem to act as if they are beings in their own right. There have, however, been more traditional reports of saucer-shaped objects hovering over circle fields, and there is now little doubt that unusual and largely inexplicable objects do fly in the skies wherever they come from, as the increasing amount of supportive testimony from commercial airline pilots, military personnel, and even astronauts would seem to confirm. Cover-ups surrounding UFO sightings and claims of alien encounters are very certainly in operation, as anyone attempting to extract direct information from governmental authorities will discover. But there are many unanswered questions to the intelligence theory. If other beings are trying to communicate with us, why choose the rather odd medium of writing largely unintelligible graffiti on crop fields? And why not scatter them more evenly around the globe to attract general attention? Why are there so many in England and yet far fewer in other countries? Is it that the English are of a more conductive mindset than other nationalities to spread the word, or is there a restrictive physical factor at work, such as geology? Why does the phenomenon seem to rely on geological qualities to act and not simply create formations from above? Is it trying to attract our attention to certain important places? Although the intelligence theory offers more answers than some, it still leaves elusive logic holes to be explained. Some have proposed the notion of a Star Trek-like prime directive in which beings that would like to advise or help less developed races are forbidden to do more than provide tiny nudges. Maybe the crop glyphs are all that is allowed. It may also be that several different kinds of intelligence forces may be involved, and that the symbols do not all come from the same source as the many different genres and design styles might indicate. If crop circles do carry some kind of intelligent message, the one of 2002 ET and disk aside, then as yet no one has deciphered the overall code or meaning, despite the quota of recognizable symbols over the years. Could they be transmissions that aren't meant to be intellectually understood but intuitively instead? Perhaps they use a language of vibration that we subconsciously understand deep within us. The strong reaction from some towards the symbolism would seem to suggest a truth to this. Mathematically, the patterns certainly speak to us with a purity of geometry and form. It is possible that no one message is intended, but that the glyphs are mainly stimuli to encourage a race to greater aspiration and thought, bringing balance between faith and hard evidence and awakening us to be ready for bigger changes to come. Almost uniquely, this is an unexplained phenomenon that seems to speak equally to both men and women and satisfies both left brain and right brain thinking. The more masculine elements of physical and intellectual analysis combining perfectly with the more feminine aspects of art and spirituality. This inclusive and welcoming quality has given the crop circles a very wide appeal. Many of those profoundly affected by the ugly grief and enigma have certainly experienced an expansion of consciousness and a subsequent change in their lives, yet it seems clear that this is but a small component in a much wider cycle of global change, deepening self-awareness and a sense of new collective responsibility which grows year by year. The bottom line is that the crop circles never deliver answers, but instead continually pose questions in a melange of multicultural, mathematical, astronomical, and totally obscure designs. Yet it may be that the very inspirational sparked in us to find an answer is the greatest gift of all, stimulating us to expand and evolve ourselves without the need for direct celestial interference. Unified theory. The current truth is that a final answer to the crop circle mystery still remains out of reach despite many years of investigation. Maybe the ultimate solution will lie in a combination of all these different, though perhaps not mutually exclusive ideas. Maybe an answer will never be found, or it lies so far beyond our current understanding and experience that we are simply not ready, nor expected to comprehend the full meaning or source. The great beauty of the phenomenon has always lain in its mystery as much as in its admittedly breathtaking works of art. It may very well be that it is the fundamental questions and joyous inspiration that crop circles have kindled that matter the most rather than